Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are working on the CAMARO ZLE and we are finally starting the first phase of the engine modifications to increase more power. I know this day has finally come. I've been waiting for it for such a long time, and I know you guys have as well, because many of you are always asking me, when are you finally gonna start these engine modifications for more power? So wait no more, we are finally starting today. So let's not delay this any further. Let's bring out that package so I can show you what it is. So now that I opened up the package, I will be installing a Roto-Fab cold air intake, and this is everything that came with it. So it has the air box, some hardware, the filter, we have some instructions and some merch. And speaking of merch, let me try one on. Alright, so I have the shirt on. It's pretty cool. So it has the Roto-Fab logo as well as the American flag. I really like it. But anyways, back to the intake. So why Roto-Fab? So pretty much with all the research that I did, going online, forums, YouTube, car meets, I even know a few Camaro owners personally. They use Roto-Fab. Everyone is just raving about the fitment and the quality. So I'm very excited to get this installed on my car. And I mean, sure, there are others, but I chose to go with them. So let's open up the hood and start with the removal of the stock intake. So this is pretty simple. There's not much to it. All you need to do is to remove these two clamps. There's also a sensor, some hoses, then this whole unit should come off. Then after that, we can finally get started with assembling the Roto-Fab intake. So let's get to it. Alright, so now that the intake is off, next thing that we need to do is remove this zip tie. So we can just go ahead and cut this, because Roto-Fab does provide you with other zip ties, and then after that we can just go ahead and tie these hoses to the AC line, and then we can finally get started with assembling the Roto-Fab air intake. Now we're done with the first steps with the Roto-Fab air box. And I do also want to point out that once you remove the stock intake, there's some rubber grommets here that they may or may not come off. There's 1, 2, and 3. For instance, this one came off for me, so that's pretty simple. Just remove it from the stock intake and then just place it back here, because you want to make sure that they're here once you place the Roto-Fab air box. And then after that, pretty simple. So all I did is add this rubber seal on this top part of the air box, and then also on this side part here. And then you want to get this tube and then just screw it in. There's like about, I don't know, probably like 5 screws there, and then you want to disconnect the MAP sensor from the stock intake onto this tube right here, and you don't have to worry about reusing the stock bolts, because Roto-Fab does provide you with bolts themselves. So now that we're done with this, we can continue on with the last remaining steps. so now we're done, but let me just explain to you the last steps. So once again, pretty simple. All you need to do is add these silicone couplers along with the clamps, and then after that you can just go ahead and add the elbow. Then make sure that you connect this hose back on, and then also the map sensor. Then make sure you tighten the clamps, and then last but not least, add the filter with the clamps, and then just make sure you tighten everything, that everything's all good to go, and then you're done with the Roto-Fab holder installation. But there is one last remaining step, which is these 2 bolts right here, which I'm not sure if you can actually see them here on camera. So the installation do call for you to replace these 2 bolts that come from factory with the ones that Roto-Fab does provide, just because the ones that come from factory here are a little bit long and they could actually interfere when you close the hood with the intake and the air box. So these are a little bit shorter. So once you replace these, then you're done, and this shouldn't damage the air box or the intake. So then that's it. You're all done with the installation. Also, there's actually, let me just put this down. There's actually 2 different colder intake systems that Roto-Fab does sell. The one that I just installed does not require a tune, but they also do sell one that requires a tune. I think it's called the Big Gulp, but I didn't choose to install that one just because I'm not looking to make massive power on this car, so this one just better fits my needs. But the next engine modification that I will be installing on the CAMARO ZL1 will require a tune, so I'm looking forward to that as well, so stay tuned. But this was a very simple and quick installation, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.